What's up, guys? Mr. Thompson here doing another video from home. This is our first Friday Fun Day video. So this video is gonna have like nothing to do with math. This is just me, kind of having not a lot to do here at home and wishing I was with you guys. I know in class a lot of the times we have moments or periods of time where we just kind of talk about things that are like nothing to do with math. So I wanted to do something kind of like that in a video here. And I know that not everybody is gonna see this. And that's okay, but for the people that do, I wrote down something nice to say about like every one of my students. So first period, you guys are going to be first today. This will be like the series of Mr. Thompson shout out videos. Okay, so first period. Before I jump into this list, for a second, I'm going to talk about, how you guys are unique and kind of what makes first period special. And I think it's pretty obvious with you guys because you were my first ever math class. I accepted the teaching job at West Jordan back like about a year ago, almost. I think it was at the start of April or May, which pretty much meant that I had all summer to just go through every scenario in my head of like, am I going to be a good teacher? Am I going to be a bad teacher? Are the kids going to like me? Am I going to like them? Like all that kind of stuff. In first period, you guys will just always have a special place in my heart, mainly as being like the class that kind of quelled a lot of my teaching fears because we got to like our first few exams. And you guys were all awesome, and everybody was always like taking notes and on task, and mostly quiet. Recently, you guys you've been a little talkative and a little louder than usual. But first period, I love you guys, I miss you, and without further ado, let's jump into the list. So I'm going alphabetically here by last name, which means McKaylee Bateman is up first. And McKaylee, the little phrase I wrote for you is that you never give up. And that's really an important quality to have as a student. Especially mainly considering that you had to like miss a lot of time for whatever the reason was. There were times where you just weren't in class for certain stretches, but you would come to me like after school and be like, Mr. Thompson, I know what I need to do. Can you just help me out, make sure I can get back on track? And I really appreciate that because there's a lot of kids that really they kind of take the loss and don't even care to come in and improve, and you did. So I appreciate that, McKaylee. Next up is Bryson Butterfield. My guy, my high jumper, Bryson. That's what I think about when I think of you. We were having fun doing high jump, man, until the track season kind of got put on hiatus. But either way, we're going to have at least a couple more years to work high jump with you. You got a lot of potential, and I'm looking forward to it, buddy. Third is going to be Caitlin. And Caitlin, you've got like that death glare where for the first like couple of months of class, I'd be done teaching or I'd be like, all right, we're going to do one more example. And I'd look over and Caitlin's just like staring daggers at me. And at the start, it was like, almost kind of intimidating. And then it got to the point where I was like, all right, Caitlin, lose the attitude. But Caitlin, you're also an early bird. You would always be there hanging out before school. And we had a lot of good conversations. So I miss that, and I hope you're doing well. Next up is Riley Garcia. And of course, when I think of you, I think of how incredibly surprised I was at your voice and how great of a singer you are, man. When you walked into the audition room for the talent show, and you said you were going to be singing Michael Bublé, I was like, what? That is crazy. And then you just blew the doors off, buddy. You've got a great voice. I hope that you're using this time in quarantine to just practice, I guess. And I don't know if you want to be a singer later in your life, but you definitely could go that route if you did. So I hope you're taking care out there, Riley. Okay, Rebecca, you're next up. And Rebecca, what I wrote down for you is that you are ahead of it. And what I mean when I say that is that every now and then maybe you'd show up later, you'd have to miss class for whatever the reason, but similar to what I said earlier about McKaylee, you would just come in and you'd be there for AIP and I'd go over and I would ask if you need help. And you're like, no, I know that I need these notes, I know how to do that, so I'm good. And I'm just like, wow, Rebecca, that's awesome. Way to stay ahead of things. So I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Okay, next I've got Jaden Guerrero. And this one's kind of funny because when I think of Jaden, I also think of Jaime. And the main reason why, you guys sat together from day one, but I'll never forget that first day when I was going through the list of everybody's names. And I got to Jaime, and of course, sometimes I'm an idiot. And so I looked at it and I was like, is it Jamie? And Jaden was like, no, it's Jaime. And I was like, oh crap, excuse me, I didn't mean to offend you. But I just thought it was kind of funny. You're just looking out for your boy. And then another thing that I think of is the day that I got J-passed, where Mr. Griffith was in there. And you looked so tired, like you were just ready to put your head down and take a nap, but you freaking powered through. And I picked on you a little bit, but you were awesome. And really everybody in first period was awesome that day I got J-passed. So I appreciate you, Jaden. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Okay, next up we've got Andrew. And Andrew, would it be anything other than our shared interest in heavy metal, my man? I wasn't sure like what you thought about math class and what you thought about me, and then I'll never forget the day you kind of pointed up to the poster and you were like, you like asked about one of the bands or whatever, and it was Amon Amarth, one of those Viking like death metal bands, and you said you had been listening to it and you liked it, and I was like, awesome, that's like really great to hear, just because not a lot of people share my enthusiasm for heavy metal. So Andrew, hoping you're taking care of yourself out there, bud. Okay, next on the list is Fatima. And Fatima, a word that comes to mind when I think of you is perseverance. We had a couple pretty good, tough conversations about, just math class and what it's going to take to succeed. And what I really appreciate about you is that you really like owned it a lot of the time. Like you were never making excuses. You never came up with any reason. You just said like, I need to be better. And then you were, and you've done well every quarter so far. And I think that's going to keep going. So keep it up, Fatima. Hunter, this was probably like the easiest one of the whole class. And I wrote 4 words. I wrote, dad joke, eye roll. Because I know that my dad jokes are either really good or I guess really bad. When I drop one of them and I look over at you and you're just like, your eyes are rolling out of your head. I'm like, all right, that's one for the books for sure. So Hunter, I'll keep the dad jokes coming. As long as you just keep the eye rolls coming, bud. Next up is Morgan. And Morgan, you were like the original early bird to class, man. I'd get there and you'd be like waiting outside the door, and we'd go inside and had a lot of really good conversations. And I miss those, buddy. I really do. I miss seeing you early in the morning. There are a lot of times where it would be like an A day and I'd be getting up and I would be in a bad mood or whatever. And I'd be driving to school and I'd be like, all right, like I know Morgan's going to be out there and we'll be able to have a conversation about whatever, play a game of chess, listen to a little bit of heavy metal or whatever. You always put up with it. I appreciate it, man. Morgan, I hope you're taking care of yourself, buddy. Okay, next we've got Mua. And of course, for Mua, I had to write, come do track, Mua. Come run track. Come throw the freaking shot put out of the building. Mua, you're just like an awesome athlete, and you're a great math student too. And the main thing with you is I got to make a point to come out and see some volleyball games next year. I've heard big things, so I expect a lot, Mua. Hope you're doing well. Okay, and CJ, buddy, you were my first ever math student. And when I say that, everybody's like, well, first period, everybody was. But really, CJ, you were the first person that ever came and like introduced yourself to me. And it was that day before the school year started where the kids could show up and kind of tour the school and do whatever they needed to do. And you came into the classroom, you walked right up to me and gave me like a good firm handshake and introduced yourself. And I'll never forget, man, I was like, that kid's going to either be really awesome or he's going to be like a pain in the butt troublemaker. Like, I just wasn't sure. But you just had like a certain enthusiasm. And it turns out you've been maybe a little bit of a troublemaker, but mostly you've been awesome, CJ. So you're always going to go down as like the first ever. So CJ, I miss you, buddy. Cameron. And of course with Cameron, there's really 2 things. The first one being that dope leather jacket you're always wearing. And then the second thing is, hopefully I'm not getting you in trouble here, but the freaking video games you and Bryson play. If there's anything I can bet on, it's that if we were going to have math class tomorrow, you and Bryson tonight would probably be like, all right, what are we going to play in math tomorrow? But you take care of what you need to take care of, and you do what you need to do. You're one of those kids that stays ahead of it, so I appreciate you, Cameron. Hope you're doing well. All right, we've got a few more here. Bryn. And Bryn, what I think of when I think of you is softball, and specifically how you, when softball started and you guys had like those early morning workouts, you'd show up late to math class every now and then. And it was hilarious because you kind of just told me how it was going to be. You were like, yeah, I'm just going to have to start being late every now and then. And I was like, well, at least you're honest, Bryn. So I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well out there. Next on the list is Kara. And Kara, what I wrote down for you is, I have no idea what I'm doing, because that's what you always say. And early in the year when you'd say that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like if Kara doesn't know what she's doing, then there's probably other people that don't. But then obviously it came to pass that you would just be crushing it on exams and everything. So you'd say you have no idea what you were doing, but you really did. So Kara, I hope you're doing well. And Kylie, also a little similar, but what I wrote for you is you were one of the original 5. And when I say the original 5, I remember on our first exam, there were 5 people that got 100%. And it was very like calming for me to be like, all right, they're learning. And Kylie, you were like one of the people who you just crushed it. And I looked at all your work and it was like perfect, spotless. And having students like you, Kylie, is important for a teacher, because I guess like you don't really speak out a lot in class, but as long as you're doing well on the test and everything, then I know that my teaching is at least, hitting a certain standard. So I appreciate you, Kylie. Okay, Katrina. Katrina, you're a new addition of first period, but what I think of when I think of you is parent-teacher conference, because of how hilarious you and your mom were when you came in to the February parent-teacher conference. Like, we could have just stayed there and talked for hours about like things not even related to school, but you guys were great, and I hope you're doing well and taking care of yourself out there, okay? All right, we've got 3 more. Jaime. And Jaime, of course, when I think of you, you and Jaden are like a combo deal. You go hand in hand. But I also think of the trip where you went to Mexico and you were gone for like a long time. And I remember it got to a point in like, I'm pretty sure it was in January, where every day I would like ask Jaden, like, where's Jaime? Like, is he going to be back anytime soon? But you came back and you really got on top of your stuff, and you made sure that you talked to me about what you needed to do, and you got ahead of it. So you were good to go, Jaime. I hope you're doing well, buddy. All right, Brinley. And Brinley, what I got to say about you is you've got like the highest grade ever. And some other kids might not like that I say this, because there's like 3 kids who every quarter I'm kind of like comparing your grades. I shouldn't say that, and the reason I'm saying comparing is because I'm like, all right, who's going to end up with the highest grade this quarter? And Brinley, I think you've taken it like every quarter. I think this quarter it was like 112%, which maybe means I give out too much extra credit. But I should like make a plaque, and I'll have like maybe like the top 3 students or something. So Brinley, keep it up. You're crushing it. You're a really smart girl, and you've got a bright future. So I hope you're taking care of yourself. And last but certainly not least is Nicole. And Nicole, when I think of you, I think of when I saw you at parent-teacher conference. Then that's like a day where, you know, a lot of students, either they don't need to come in, or if they do, they're there with their parents, but you were there alone. It's like, Nicole, what are you doing here? And you were like, oh, well, I'm here to help translate for Spanish-speaking parents. And I just thought that was really awesome that you were there. You were kind of like volunteering your time to just help out, which is a big deal in our community, just because being able to bridge that language barrier is very important, as you obviously know. So I appreciate you, Nicole, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. And that wraps it up, guys. That's first period. The first period shout-outs. Just something positive to say about everybody, because I love and miss all of you, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. Have a good spring break, and we'll be back next week with another Friday Fun Day video. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.